guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 90, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show, and I go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week, so let's get started. And guys, I'm back. Sorry, I did have a hiatus last week, so I didn't have a Comic Uno episode last week, but this week I do, and the upcoming weeks I will too. But let's talk about the worst pick of the week. Number 19 is Earth 2 World's End, issue 25. Like, this is no surprise at this point. Earth 2 has been worst pick of the week, like, every week since, for a while now. Which is a shame, because when it first started, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome, and this will be the weekly series I love. And at this point, it's Batman Eternal, which is the best, weekly series. This issue just continues the same stuff we've been getting. It's Earth 2's ending. It doesn't really bring that much to the playing field. You know, people are working together. Our teams are working together, which at this point they should have been doing a long time ago. There's some interesting character interactions, like Power Girl trying to save the day. You know, again, everyone being together, flashing, oh, well, I'm going to try to save the world because my mom is on one of the ships, and obviously he wants her to be saved and go to the other universe, whatever. Artwork, it's very mucky. Is that a word? I hope so. It's just kind of like not great. I don't really like the coloring of, and also it's very sloppy art. You can tell how like quick they're doing it because it's a weekly series. Especially the details in the background, just very mucky, if that's a word again. So overall, is this the worst Earth 2 book I've read? No, but it's just still not there. It's almost over, which I'm happy. Earth 2 World's End, issue 25, gets 2.5 stars. Alright, moving on to number 18, which is The Flash, issue 40. Yeah, The Flash is on the bottom, which is really upsetting, because I like The Flash as a character. I love Matapool's and Buccellado's run on this book, and it's just kind of been descending since Vendetti's taken it over. So with The Flash, we get to see the end of the Future Flash story, and at this point, this could have been good if it was a 3-issue arc. I'd be like, cool, it's over. Oh my god, Professor Zoom's in the end. Then it'd be like, this was a great issue. But this has been going on for months now. Since Vendetti's taken over, I feel like this Future Flash story has been going on. And this just wasn't payoff. Patty ends up breaking up with Barry, which is fine. I'm more of an Iris and Barry fan anyways. But the way she does it, it's just like, you know, the real Barry's back. It's just like, I don't like your face because it relates to that face you have in the future. So bye. So this long-term relationship that, you know, the man that she loves just says bye because of his face. It's like, oh, you look too much like that other guy. The guy you become. I felt that was just such a cop-out. The only thing I really liked was the ending with Professor Zoom, and, you know, we have to wait like 3 months until we even get that story. And then the artwork's okay, you know, it's growing on me, but I don't know, it's still, the colors are a bit weird. I think it's more because of Future Flash than anything, though. I don't love the blue. So yeah, overall, I was pretty disappointed with The Flash, and I give issue 40 2.5 stars, and that was number 18 on the list. Alright, moving on to number 17, which is Gem and the Holograms, issue 1, which was not a bad issue. It's just that I've never personally seen Gem and the Holograms. It wasn't my decade. But I know a lot of the show, you know, as a TV fan, I know what Gem and the Holograms is. And the reason I picked this up is because our inside joke on Frontline. If you haven't checked out our truly outrageous episode of Frontline Live, check it out. It's the formation of the joke. Check out Mike's review on this channel of Gem and the Holograms. It's hilarious too. So yeah, Gem and the Holograms. This was good. You know, I think for me, it was, I wasn't connected to the characters that much. It's about our main character being stage fright, and by the end, finding this hologram program her father made, and she becomes Gem, and she has the courage to go on stage now. So for me, it didn't hook me to get the next issue. I was like, oh, cool, Gem and Holograms, but was it? It was okay for a first issue. It was just an okay issue. Artwork actually really impressed me. It's very simple, but I like the style of the book. Very 2015 more than them going back to the 80s, which I think worked for this book. So if you're a Gem fan, I think you'll like it. But if you're not, I won't say this will make you a Gem fan. And that was kind of the hard part of this. But if it's a light week when issue 2 comes out, I will get issue 2. But if it's a heavy week, I might have to drop Gem and the Holograms. But I do want to give it a fair shot, because it wasn't a bad issue. It's just I didn't feel the connection yet. Alright, moving on to number 16, which is Secret Origins, issue 11, which is a book I usually don't get, but I'm a Black Canary fan. I was like, whoa, I'll get it for Black Canary. And that's what I did. And honestly, well, there's 3 stories. You have the Red Lantern story, Guy Gardner. You have Constantine, and then you have Black Canary. The story that impressed me the most was actually Guy Gardner's story. I really liked his narration, and it made me, I know enough about Guy Gardner, but I've never been a huge fan of Guy Gardner, but I was like, oh cool, I kind of want to go see those back issues to see what he's been all about. See more about, whatever, you know, see more about his family life, because I know Green Lantern Corps, they explore that a bit. So overall, I really liked the Guy Gardner story, and I was shocked. The artwork was really good for that story, and it wasn't the reason I bought the book, so that did shock me. Constantine I didn't really like. That kind of bored me. It fit for his character, but I'm not a big Constantine fan, so it still didn't make me a Constantine fan. It was more like, I'm Constantine, I don't have to tell you my origins, and I'm not a fan of his, so that didn't impress me as much. But if you're a Constantine fan, I think you'll love his origin story. And then the Black Canary story was pretty good, but it's just so New 52. It's just like, this is not really Black Canary. It's like the New 52 Black Canary, which I'm sure they're stepping away from anyways because of the new ongoing that's going to be coming out soon at Divergence. But yeah, and that also had sloppy artwork, so I was a little disappointed with Black Canary. I liked the story for what it was, but I've seen better Black Canary origin stories. So overall, the Guy Gardner story impressed me more than the reason I got this book. So I'm going to give Secret Origins issue 11 3 stars. It was good, and I think if you like some of these characters, it might be worth picking up for a cheaper price. I don't know. It's still a pretty expensive book, so I don't know if it's really worth the price either. So 3 stars. Moving on to number 15, which is Future's End, issue 47. This has been improving a bit as we get to the stretch here. It's getting into the story. So it just proves that Future's End shouldn't have been 47 issues. It probably should have just been like 15, honestly. Because now it's getting pretty interesting. But the reason it's a little lower is that the art was massively sloppy. I want to try to show parts here. It's just the facial expressions here, just very sloppy artwork in some places. So that kind of brought the book down, but the story was pretty good. It's Tim Drake taking over being Batman Beyond, which finally I'm interested in Batman Beyond because Tim is this new Batman. And it's the story that I was most interested in Future's End was Madison and Tim's story. So I'm glad this actually probably could go past Future's End and go into this new Batman Beyond book, which actually makes me want to read Batman Beyond issue 1, which I probably will because of this. And I really like that Madison finally reveals that she's alive to Tim, and Tim is sacrificing himself, going to the future to try to save the world. And will he? Who knows? And hopefully he gets to find Madison in that new ongoing. But this is definitely just a lead up to Tim being the new Batman Beyond. This Tim. We still have old Tim. But I like this. I personally am a big Tim Drake fan, so I like that he's the new Batman Beyond. It's an interesting story. So, and I like this version of Tim Drake. So to see it continue and maybe Madison's story continue, I'm kind of happy about that. But why is it so low? It's still that sloppy artwork that kind of brought me back from it. And you still have this like Mr. Terrific stuff that I'm not totally interested in. But it's Tim and it's Madison that I really, really enjoyed with this issue. So Future's End issue 47 does get 3 stars. It's a bit of an improvement from what we've been getting, and the story was pretty good. So Future's End issue 47, 3 stars. So now we're moving on to we're up to number 14, which is Uncanny X-men issue 32. If you're a Cyclops fan, this is the issue for you. It's very Cyclops based. I'm not a Cyclops fan, but the story wasn't bad. It's just him, like, he's still being lost of where he wants to go, him, like, being friends with his brother again, and him not being friends with Emma anymore. Emma's like, well, I'm leaving too, and Cyclops is like, well, I'm leaving too. And Emma makes this joke, which I hope it's a joke of hers, like, oh, I'm going to be the queen of the Hellfire Club again. And who knows with Emma, this actually can be possible, but I thought she was being sarcastic. Let's hope she was being sarcastic in that dialogue. Artwork is okay. You know, I've gotten used to the artwork for the series at this point. But overall, I think what disappointed me with this issue was probably the ending. The ending is just Cyclops like talking to his brother about nothing. It's like not even a cliffhanger. It's like, oh, that was kind of a random ending. It's just like, okay, I guess they're gonna hang out for a little while. So yeah, if you're a Cyclops fan, get it. It's very Cyclops based, but if you're not, this is kind of a filler issue, honestly. It's hard to say this because I love Brian Michael Bendis's character-driven issues where they're just chatting it up, but this issue just kind of lacked here. I've seen better from Brian Michael Bendis. So Uncanny X-Men issue 32 for me gets 3 stars. Alright, moving on to number 13, which is Legendary Star-Lord, issue 2. And let me just say, Black Vortex had 3 parts come out, and they all were pretty good. They were all pretty good. This was a pretty good issue, too. This is just ended up being the worst for some reason. But yeah, so with Legendary Star-Lord, I felt a bit less happened here. I liked, of course, the Kitty and Star-Lord stuff. I like that Kitty was able to phase through, like, this impossible material to phase through. But the other stuff, why it's a bit lower, is that the other stuff weren't as important. Is like, oh, well, planets are being destroyed. Everyone's kind of coming together. The Black Vortex has been stolen, which happened in the last issue anyways, and then we got more people wanting to attack them. And also, if you like the Broad planet, there's stuff going on with that. Artwork was actually really good, though. Really enjoyed the artwork for this story. But the surrounding story could have been a bit better. But I like Kitty here, which was the point. You know, Legendary Star-Lord, they're the main characters of this book. And I like that they're actually keeping that. It's crossing over into a book. It's not just an extra part. It actually does focus on the character that stars in the book. So, like, Nova does the same thing there. But yeah, overall, it was a good issue. It's just somehow kind of landed more on the bottom than the other 2 parts. But it was still pretty good. So Legendary Star-Lord issue 10 gets 3.5 stars. Maybe it would have gone higher if it wasn't 3 parts coming out this week and I wasn't felt so bombarded by Black Vortex this week. Alright, moving on to number, I think we're up to 13. Maybe we're up to 12. Yeah, we're up to number 12. Which is Effigy, issue 3. This is pretty good. I liked it. Still, the art's a bit too simple for me. I hope the art gets a bit more complex. But this issue is our main character, I want to say Chandler? That's not her name, though. Our main character is the actress, now a police officer, going undercover at her own convention to try to find out more about this murder and who could be behind the murder. And that's pretty much the issue. It's not much of a progression in this issue, but it's still fun. There's some cool character interactions between the detective, our main character, the crazy fan, and we're getting a little bit closer to this mystery of who killed this super fan of Space Cops. And it's still a very nice commentary on celebrityness, comic conventions, so that was fun. That was a lot. And also message boards in a weird way, so I kind of like that commentary in the issue. But overall, this wasn't the issue that impressed me the most. I do think issue 2 and 1 were a bit better, but it's just more of a point A to point B issue to progress the mystery a bit more. So Effigy issue 3 gets 3.5 stars for me. Alright, moving on to number 11, which is Nova, issue 28, which is the other part of Black Vortex. This impressed me a little bit more than Legendary Star-Lord because it was more of a focus on Nova. It felt like a Nova issue. He's hiding the Black Vortex. Of course, his sister's trying to touch the Black Vortex. His mom's like, oh, you better not bring outer space stuff in my house. And the collectors are trying to collect the Black Vortex, and Sam's able to get away and try to find his friends. So it wasn't a bit of a filler issue, yeah. This is another point A to point B issue, more than anything, and I think we're going to have that until towards the end, until we get some more exploding story arcs here. Hopefully. But yeah, the issue was fun. I liked it because we get to see a lot of Nova's Earth world, even though this is a Black Vortex Vortex tie-in. And it does progress the Black Vortex story a bit, and it's cool. And again, I like that they focused on Nova. It was cool that they actually focused on the character that had to do with the series. I wasn't expecting that with Black Vortex. I thought they were just utilizing the series to continue their story. But they actually are focusing on those main characters and allowing them to have some scenes in their own series, which doesn't always happen. artwork is okay. This is a little bit more of the abstract artwork for Nova, but still pretty good artwork. And overall, I gave Nova issue 28 3.5 stars. Alright, we are moving on to number 10, which is Big Thunder Mountain issue 1. This is a lot of fun. The reason it's a bit lower than I wanted it to be, which actually, first of all, let me say, Big Thunder Mountain, I wasn't expecting anything out of. I just got it because I'm a Disney fan. I was like, let me try out the first issue. And I really liked it. I liked the story a lot. I liked the main character, which is this girl in, the gold rush time, and she doesn't want to be ladylike. She wants to get into action. She wants to be part of this mining stuff. And she could, get off a train and her horse could save her, which was a really cool scene in the beginning. But why it's a bit lower is I felt the mining scenes were a bit lengthy. When we got to that, I was like, I kind of want to go back to the action scene in the beginning where she jumps her with her horse. And the cliffhanger was pretty good. The artwork is a little bit on the sketchy side. It could be a bit better. But overall, I really liked the story, and it hooks me for the next issue. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I think you should try it out. I thought it was a fun issue. So I gave it 3.5 stars. So moving on to number 9, which is Guardians of the Galaxy, issue 25, which is $4.99. This is the reason I couldn't go to 4 stars with this. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was the best part of Black Vortex because there's the most progression here. The Kree Empire explodes. We get to see still Star-Lord's father wanting the Black Vortex, everyone trying to chase the Black Vortex, but also this issue had the best artwork. Beautiful, beautiful artwork here. And still, I like the artwork for both Nova and Legendary Star-Lord, but Guardians of the Galaxy just had some beautiful artwork here, so that really boosted it up a bit more. But at the same time, it was $4.99. With 3 parts coming out, I don't know if I wanted extra pages of Guardians of the Galaxy. They should have timed that a bit correctly. So that's why it was a bit lower than I wanted this to be with the story. But yeah, overall, I liked the issue. I thought it was a good issue. It was a good part to Black Vortex. So Guardians of the Galaxy issue 25 for me gets 3.5 stars, and that's number 9. Still a bit on the pricey side though. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is Daredevil issue 14. Daredevil, I'm pretty sure last month was my pick of the week, so it's a bit upsetting it's number 8, but there's a lot of good comics this week, and this was still really good. It's about Daredevil changing his identity a bit more to say, am I Daredevil or am I Matt Murdock? He is both. He's trying to promote his book a little bit more, but he shaves his head and he's trying to show that he's both Daredevil and Matt Murdock and they are the same person. He's not trying to hide his identity anymore. And now we're going to connect to one of his villain's daughters, comes to try to save her father. And her father is all hooked up, almost dying here, because of one of the heroes we met in previous issue that wants to kill him. Even though he says, I'm not killing him, he's killing him because he's part of this tribe, we find out. But Daredevil doesn't know that because he doesn't see that he's part of this tribe. It's on his head and it's on his medallion, but I don't think Matt could actually see that. But we get to see our villain's daughter find out. It's like, oh wait, he's a villain. Or maybe a villain, or wants to kill his the artwork here is beautiful. I don't know if I like Daredevil's new style or not. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. It's a little bit over dramatic. Hold on, I want to show a good picture of it. I'm sure there is a good picture of it. Here we go. It's a bit too over dramatic for me. It looks a little weird. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of One More Time in Feeling. That episode, the villain, kind of like how he looks with his suit. That's Daredevil in red. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, overall, it was a really solid issue. I liked it. I liked the issue a lot. I don't know if I like his new style, but I like the direction of the issue. Again, the art was really good for the story. And, of course, it's Daredevil. It's a great series. It just wasn't as good as it usually is, but it's still a very solid issue. So Daredevil issue 14 for me gets 4 stars. Alright, now we're moving on to number 7, which is Morning Glories, issue 44. Another great addition to Morning Glories. Wonderful artwork as always, and just a nice little addition to the series. We get to see that one of the professors is very connected to Vanessa, one of the students, one of the newer students. because that's her daughter and she can't contact her, but they might be able to contact each other through radio, and who knows, it just kind of digs a little bit deeper as like, where is Morning Glories? Can you contact people in the outside world? And we see that Vanessa is gonna be tortured a bit. You know, she's in jail, and this is the future Vanessa that's actually contacting her mother, not the present Vanessa. The present Vanessa is trying to make the radio that actually does contact her mother. Pretty confusing. But that's Morning Glories for you. Wonderful artwork. I like that they focused on these two characters that we usually don't get to see that much story with, and I like this whole mother-daughter relationship that they do have. And finally seeing that some professor in Morning Glories Academy is not totally bad and actually wants to try to help things. So Morning Glories issue 44 for me was a very solid issue, and I give it 4 stars. Really continuing this world building of Morning Glories Academy. And what the hell is Morning Glories Academy? We'll never know. Hopefully until the end we will know, though. Alright, moving on to number 6. Number 6 is Deathstroke, issue 6. Number 6, issue 6. I thought this was a really good issue. It's a big improvement from what we've been getting with Deathstroke. It was a good ending to this whole father, son, daughter, little dynamic here. And wonderful artwork. The artwork is beautiful for the series. I could just show you every page, and it's just like perfect artwork. I like this issue. It's Slade against his father, and Rose and Jericho in the mix of all this. I think the only thing I really didn't like about this issue was the cliffhanger, because you lead off to like exactly where you were in the beginning of the story arc. Slade's like, oh, well, I guess I'm exactly where I started, and I don't really know where my children are, and who knows if my father is dead, but I'm here, and I'm a mercenary. And yeah, that is Deathstroke, that is Slade's character, but I'm like, I want to see more of the kids. That's what I really liked about this arc, and something that I felt like made this series a lot more interesting. It wasn't just Slade, it's also about Rose and Jericho, who are 2 really interesting characters. So yeah, Deathstroke issue 6 for me gets 4 stars. Really great artwork, and I thought the story was really good, and the fight between Jericho and his father was really good. Oh, I mean Slade and his father, not Jericho and his father. Although technically Jericho and his father also. Alright, moving on to number 5, which is Little Mermaid, issue 2. A very, very good issue and a good edition of Little Mermaid. Digging a bit into Erica's origins, or at least her parents' origins, of how the tale is twisted. We get to see that Erica's father is a mermaid instead, which we already knew, but it's like the same story that Ariel went through in the Disney movie, except a lot darker. We get to see that he ends up dating Erica's mother for a little while, who's a human, who wants to learn more about this mermaid, because she likes him, and his feet are stolen from him in 3 days, and he's kind of depressed. He becomes king in the end, but he's depressed because he still loves this woman. So we're slowly getting this origin story. And also Erica's being tortured, still being tortured. But really, it's not even a story just about Erica. It's about her parents and, you know, how they met, which I really like. And the artwork is beautiful for this series also. Very solid story. I can't wait to read more of Little Mermaid. As a huge Little Mermaid fan, I've really been enjoying this miniseries from Meredith Finch. If you haven't checked out our interview with the Finches yet, you definitely should check it out, because we talk a lot about Little Mermaid, so check that out. But yeah, I gave Little Mermaid issue 2 4 stars. Very solid, and that was number 5. Alright, moving on to number 4. Batman Eternal, issue 51. Yeah, this is a lot higher than it usually is, but Batman Eternal's really been impressing me as we get towards the end. We found out last issue that Clue Master is the guy behind all this. And I love this issue because of the explanation of that. Clue Master saying, the reason I am the villain is because I'm obscure. I'm sure you don't even remember my name. I distracted you because you thought all your bigger villains were the people destroying Gotham, but it was really just me. I was the big Clue Master. Even though I'm a second-rate Riddler, I was the villain. And I love that it says it's the same thing. It goes back to your origins of how because he finds out that Bruce is Batman, which was great. But it goes back to his origins where nobody killed Bruce's parents. So wouldn't a nobody kill Gotham? Something else that he loves, kind of his child. So I really enjoyed that. And then also this contradiction between Stephanie, her not knowing what she should do. Should she stay in Gotham? And she talks to Bluebird about it. And she's like, well, I'm going to leave. You're going to leave too, right? Because we really can't do anything here. And she's like, no, you don't get the point of all of this if you're going to leave. So I'm sure Stephanie will come back. She'll get the point of it. That's Stephanie for you. She'll be like, oh, I'm going to leave. But, you know, I actually have to come back. I think the only disappointing thing with the ending was trying to bring in the Court of Owls in the end. He's like, oh, well, I'm here. I'm the true villain. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, he kills Cluemaster. So now I was like, oh, I'm the true villain, Court of Owls, whatever. I feel like I've had enough of Court of Owls. But it's kind of cool how he's able to kill Cluemaster. And I'm sure this is going to give more motive to Stephanie towards the end of this book. But yeah, it was a good issue. I really, really enjoyed it. Artwork was great in this issue, which usually the weekly series has, as you could see, a pattern this week. Some sloppy artwork because it feels very quick, but I felt like it definitely took the time for Batman Eternal here. Great artwork, and really good story. I was very impressed. So Batman Eternal issue 51 gets 4.5 stars from me. It was a really great issue. Alright, moving on to number 3, which is Elektra, issue 11. This is the last issue of Elektra, and I feel this has been such an under-the-radar series that I've been personally loving, but I hear no one talking about. But I've been loving Elektra. I love the artwork, and I love that you go into Elektra's mind. And this is perfect. This was a perfect ending to Elektra. We get to see some awesome fighting. Which has been something I loved about this book, is the fluid fighting and the artwork. This painting style that definitely does not work with every book, but just worked with Elektra. Elektra being half blind, still fighting. Almost, she really should be dead. She has to replace her skull by the end of the issue, but she's able to fight and not be killed by Bullseye again. But what I loved about this issue is her inner monologue, like I said. Her feeling that she's an old woman and that she's never going to die a real death. She's not going to die of cancer. She's going to die of a bullet in her stomach. She feels like an old woman because, of the pain she's getting, or she's never going to choke on pills. She's going to choke on a chain. Like, I love this poetic narrative they have with Elektra, and that's something that really drew me to the series in the first place. And then the ending, where she's like, hey, little girl, as she's dying, I'm going to take over, not the League of Assassins, the Assassin's Guild, okay? Cool. And then she takes it over just to kill everybody at the Assassin's Guild. It was just a really great issue, and it was a great ending to Elektra. So for me, Elektra issue 11 gets 4.5 stars. It was a really good issue, and it's a shame that this series ended and that not a lot of people really gave it a chance. But I thought it was a very great poetic book to Elektra and for Elektra. Alright, moving on to number 2, which is Invincible, issue 118. This book always amazes me. And this issue is just a simple issue about marriage. And, as we get to the end, we get major cliffhangers and major discussions. But it's just about them moving to this new planet, trying to grow a family, and them being adults for once. They lived with their family all this time, or, always had their parents somewhere. And here they're finally just really growing to become a family. But what I loved about this issue was more towards the end. Mark finally reveals that he was raped, and Adam Eve just doesn't really know how to respond to that. But I love that emotional scene. Ryan Ottley's art is just amazing. You just feel that pain. You really, really just feel the pain that Mark's feeling and how he breaks down because he's a strong guy, And where you see the strong guy breaking down in front of his wife, it was just very powerful. And then towards the end, you have a bigger cliffhanger. It's not even just that, Adam Eve is just trying to process that. And then Tara's not breathing, So it's just all these emotions going at once. And then another scene right before this that really impressed me, and usually this will never impress me, but the bathroom scene. Mark eats something bad, and he's just going to the bathroom for like a couple of panels here. And Adam Eve's like, hey, you need some help in there? He's just so embarrassed that he can't even flush the toilet. But what I liked about that, it wasn't the comedic relief of that scene, but really it was that comfortable relationship Adam Eve and Mark has with each other. And that's what I really liked about that scene. It just was the perfect thing about marriage itself. It was a perfect discussion about marriage and their marriage. So I thought that was a wonderful scene. So overall, artwork was amazing. The story was great. And it's only 25 cents. And it's free on the app. So if you haven't followed Invincible, this is a perfect issue to jump on. It was such a good issue, and I'm glad that they finally talked about Mark's rape. I'm really happy they're discussing that now, and I think that's a story that they've really done very well. And Robert Kirkman's just doing a great job with the emotional stuff, and really excited to read the next issue. Invincible is just a wonderful series. So yeah, Invincible 118. Pick it up. That was number 2. So what was number 1? There was a lot of great books this week, but what was number 1? Number 1 was probably a book you haven't heard of, and that is We Can Never Go Home, issue 1. I was blown away by this issue. I've never heard of Black Mask as a comic book company, but I've seen this book being promoted on social media before this, and I was like, it looks interesting. And I looked at the preview, I was like, whoa, this looks really interesting. And it's about this popular girl, she has superpowers, and this unpopular guy who supposedly can kill people with his mind, and he's killed his mother. And they starting to like each other, even though society doesn't really allow them to like each other, but they do. And by the end of the issue, Madison sees that Ethan is being punched by his father, and she gets really angry, and she uses her powers, punches the father out, and actually kills his father. And Ethan's okay with this. He said, well, we gotta go. And he's kind of happy his father died, but at the same time, it's like, oh, why didn't you kill your father then? Why did you make Madison kill him? Is this part of your plan? I don't know. I don't trust Ethan. But I still really like this book because I think it was a perfect first issue. First of all, artwork is great. The tone for this book is wonderful. I really like the artwork. It fits very well. That's A. B, you love the characters personally for me, by the first couple of pages. Dialogue is wonderful. I love the scene where Madison just talks about her name and how she doesn't like it. And everyone at school still calls her Madison, but Ethan will call her Maddie, because she doesn't like Madison. She doesn't like it. It's a name of a city, I think in Wyoming, Wisconsin is one of the W's. It's a city that no one knows of, and it's a street in New York that she'll never go to. I love that dialogue, and there's a lot of scenes here just having really great dialogue between Ethan and Madison that you like these characters. And then the cliffhanger was a major cliffhanger. It's like, whoa, I can't wait for the next issue. So it's just a perfect first issue, and it got me really excited for issue 2. And that's why I gave We Can Never Go Home 5 stars, and it is my pick of the week. It was just, this is how you do a first issue. And I hope issue 2 is as good. So that is Comic Uno episode 90. That was my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below, what was your worst pick of the week? What was your best pick of the week, and everything in between? Of course, I have Comic Uno episode 91 next week. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, in the description below, there's links from my comic book, Like Father Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.